Mayor Victor Gordo standing shoulder to shoulder with local and state leaders as State Senator Sasha Renee Perez unveils the so-called No Vigilantes bill meant to rein in federal agents who hide their identities during immigration raids. Well, last night, Pasadena City Council voted to officially condemn those raids, including one caught on camera at a local bus stop. Pasadena Mayor Victor Gordo joins me now. And Mayor, go ahead and explain more about why the City Council decided to have that vote and basically say, not in our city.
Well, Susan, first, thank you for having me. Those gentlemen, we are informed, were sitting at the bus after, buying their breakfast of Champions, donuts and juice and coffee, and waiting for the bus to take them to Altadena, where they're reported to be working on the recovery efforts. These fear tactics and very volatile situations are simply not acceptable in any neighborhood. Remember that the agent that pulled a gun chasing a resident for taking a picture was pointing that gun not just at the resident, but towards a very crowded parking lot with people on the sidewalk. And behind that parking lot is a grocery store. This is 2 blocks from my home. And it's a parking lot where my family goes, a grocery store where I shop every weekend. If that bullet had gone astray, if the bullet had been fired and the bullet had gone astray, it would have been disastrous, potentially life-altering, not just for the agent, but for everyone else. But I also want to remind your viewers and the public and the federal government, the situation being created where you have masked men not identifying themselves in unmarked vehicles, pulling out weapons, jumping out of those vehicles, creates a very volatile and dangerous situation. Imagine the Pasadena Police Department receiving and responding to a call of armed men masked, jumping out of private vehicles and going after chasing down residents. Or worse, a police officer coming upon that situation, and now you have a situation where the Pasadena Police Department and officer is in danger, potentially because he doesn't know who he's dealing with. The agent himself is in danger. The public is in danger. 5 passengers are in danger. It's very dangerous, and we can't have that sort of tactic, which I would say to you is not a law enforcement tactic.
Right. Now, I've exchanged emails with the Department of Homeland Security multiple times now. They insist, no, the agents are identifiable. They have a uniform on or something to that effect. Their cars are marked, even though you and I have seen and other people have seen that oftentimes those cars are unmarked. Homeland Security goes on to say that the agents wear those masks because they're afraid of being doxxed from sophisticated gangs like MS-13. How much credence do you give to that?
Well, it's certainly not a completely meritless argument, but we have to be more careful, professional, as a society. These are very tense times, and these situations are creating very tense situations. A little marking, if it exists, I've not seen it, but a little marking that makes on a badge, if it exists, or a patch that says, HSI or whatever they're claiming, is not sufficient in a fast-moving situation where the officers or agents, if they are officer or agents, we don't know because they haven't confirmed to our police chief that they're even in Pasadena, they being the federal government. That's difficult to see in a fast-evolving situation where they're jumping out of unmarked vehicles, right, in the middle of traffic and chasing people.
Mayor, let's talk about the fact that you were able to enter an ICE detention facility last week. Other people have tried, other elected officials have tried and failed. How is it that you were able to get in? And tell me what you saw.
Well, first, I was there together with Congresswoman Judy Chu to support her exercising her statutory duty, responsibility, and right to inspect detention centers. And I was there first as mayor of Pasadena, advocating for our Congress member on behalf of residents that were detained in Pasadena residents. We were denied after a few hours and numbers of attempts, speaking into a squawk box, saying, identifying ourselves and asking to enter. I then met a woman who was crying as everyone else was leaving. I met this woman that's pictured here, crying, holding bottles of prescriptions. You can see them here in my hand now. And she needed to get them to her husband, who has a serious heart condition, diabetes, and needs to have these medications with every meal. She was denied entry. I then transitioned and offered to represent her in my private capacity as attorney. Went back to the squawk box, identified myself as the attorney for the detained gentleman and his family. By the way, that detained gentleman, no criminal record, 22 years in this country, working hard, contributing. And
well,
also,
we talked to Representative Judy Chu, sorry for interrupting, and she had gone into the facility at Adelanto, and she came back with lots of stories of people that were not getting refreshed clothes or food after 24 hours, etc. Were you seeing anything in this detention facility that sort of was similar to her complaints?
I was not allowed to be let in to the all the way into the detention facility. The gentleman was brought out, where I then provided, together with his wife, the medication that he needed. We have heard since then from I have heard from his family that he is communicating that a gentleman next to him died of a heart attack. Conditions are terrible in there. He's still not received a medical checkup. And water and food is scarce. This is outright wrong. It's un-American and unconstitutional. And
do you have any power at all to get that changed?
Well, I'll be returning with this family. You know, I'm going to do everything that I can in my capacity as a private attorney to help this family and possibly others.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Victor Gordo from Pasadena.
Pro bono.
Thank you for your time.